Tonight in Washington, making sense of the killing that shook the world.
Probably the world's greatest terrorist that we killed.
But what happens next? We ask the Trump administration.
We're on the ground as Australians battle devastating wildfires. From towering flames to burned out towns, David Common has the latest. Parts of Newfoundland dig out. They haven't seen a snowfall like this in years.
And as Harvey Weinstein's trial begins, an insider tells us her story.
We were made to feel that we were the perpetrators.
Why she's defying a non-disclosure agreement that has silenced so many women. This is The National. Tonight, The National is in Washington, not far from the Capitol, the congressional seat of power, where Congress is roiling with questions over a killing that sparked a crisis and worries of a war. The killing of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani has triggered high emotion both here in Washington and in the Middle East. Chants of death to America aren't rare in Iran, but what we saw today at Soleimani's funeral was a spectacle of grief and fury on another scale. So tonight we take you there and we bring you here, where Donald Trump has vowed a disproportionate and some say illegal response to Iranian acts of revenge. But we begin with Margaret Evans in a volatile region where Soleimani's funeral brought tears and vows of violence.
The streets of Tehran viewed from above, swollen and undulating, as Iran bid its farewell to Qasem Soleimani, all things to all people, spy master, military tactician, a national hero to many, a murderer to others. Either way, the impact of his assassination is rippling right across the Middle East. On the ground, there were tears from Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, his cherished lieutenant dead at the hands of the Americans. And from Soleimani's daughter, there were promises of revenge. My father's martyrdom has led to a greater awakening of people's consciousness, she said. It will bring about dark days for them and flatten their spider webs. Soleimani had plenty of his own spider webs under his belt, the chief strategist behind Iran's involvement in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and beyond. Among his latest acts were said to be the brutal crackdowns on the protests that have grown up against corrupt governments in Baghdad and Tehran. The streets now, though, are echoing with chants of death to America. At NATO headquarters today in Brussels, calls to calm the situation. The alliance's mission in Iraq uncertain after Iraqi parliamentarians demanded U.S. troops and their allies leave.
At our meeting today, allies called for restraint and de-escalation. A new conflict would be in no one's interest.
It's still too early to judge just what the fallout from this assassination will be, but Iran will be working very hard to transform Soleimani's death into a call to arms. Margaret Evans, CBC News, Beirut.
Here in Washington, the Soleimani killing has caused confusion and concern, but as Susan Ormiston shows us, not, it seems, from Donald Trump.
We are happy to have here with us the President of the United States.
Facing an escalating crisis, President Trump chose Rush Limbaugh's call-in show to defend killing Soleimani.
He's a terrorist. He was designated a terrorist by President Obama, and then Obama did nothing about it.
But outside of that, few answers from the White House on deeply puzzling questions. If the killing of Soleimani was designed to deter further attacks, has the Trump administration in fact provoked them?
It's that tension between Trump, who wants to be the tough guy, who wants to have these dramatic steps, who wants to undo everything that President Obama did, and the Trump who doesn't want to go to war. That clash has just played out. This round has gone to the Trump who's prepared to go to war if it means distinguishing himself from his predecessor.
Consequences could include attacks by Iran's proxy militias on U.S. military assets or on civilians even outside the Middle East. The U.S. Secretaries of State and Defense will brief senators and representatives in a closed-door session on Wednesday, but that hasn't squelched Democrat demands to explain the risk calculation.
Iran has many dangerous surrogates in the region and a whole range of possible responses. What do we know about what Iran would plan to do in retaliation?
I truly believe that President Trump does not want to enter a war with Iran.
Douglas Silman was the U.S. ambassador to Iraq till last year and says other countries must step in with diplomacy to help the U.S. avoid a dangerous war footing.
But I think it's going to have to be led, at least in the short term, by countries other than the United States. And as I said a couple of times, Canada is very well placed to be a calm, wise figure.
But there is little sense of calm tonight, with more U.S. forces deploying and other troops inside the region being moved to prepare and defend.
And so speaking of troops, Susan, Iraq's parliament this weekend voted to force U.S. forces out of the country. There was a letter today, a strange letter today, suggesting that might happen.
Yeah, for a few hours, a lot of confusion. This letter from the U.S. military to Iraqi officials saying, we respect your sovereign decision to force us out, until the U.S. Defense Secretary had to come out and say, no, 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 this was a mistake. It was premature. It was unsigned. It should never have happened. A lot of people saying, wow, a chaotic response to such a volatile situation. And in fact, U.S. troops are not leaving Iraq at all. And in fact, more B-52 bombers are being sent to an airbase close to Iran tonight, just in case.
Just in case. All right, Susan, thanks very much. Okay. As you heard, there are still a lot of questions about how the Trump administration made the decision and the message it wants to send. So we took those questions to Morgan Ortagus of the U.S. State Department.
So you were on the record last week as saying that the strategy, characterized by some as strategic patience, was working very well. And if that was the case, why change it?
We told the Iranian regime very publicly and privately, but especially publicly, not to confuse our restraint and the patience that we had shown towards the regime for weakness. That if you target and injure, kill, harm American citizens anywhere in the world, that we would hold the regime accountable.
What changed from last week to now?
An American was killed, and American service members were injured, an American embassy was attacked, and we had credible intelligence that more of that going in overdrive was going to happen, and that was untenable.
So your perception is that the world is safer now. It's an interesting thing to say, because if you look at the last 72 hours, you know, last week, weeks previous, there were big protests in Iran against the regime. Those effectively have fallen away. The Iraqis are suggesting the Americans need to leave. Iran has pulled out of its enrichment commitments. How is any of that safer? How is any of that a win?
When you're dealing with a terrorist regime, when you talk about, it's hard to talk about winning. You have to make calculated decisions for what is in the best interest of the American people. You had a situation, by the way, where it wasn't just the attacks we've seen in the past weeks. We could look at the past 2 decades of Qasem Soleimani being ahead of the IRGC.
So why
we can
now,
see 40 years.
Why now?
It's never based off one thing. We try, when we're having these conversations in the media, to try and point to one singular piece of intelligence. It doesn't work that way.
Canada's leading the NATO mission in Iraq.
Yes.
There are hundreds of Canadian troops there. What did
Great
Canada
partners.
know about this before it happened?
I can't answer that specifically. I would have to talk to the Secretary to see what consultations that he had. We have been working incredibly closely with Canada, with our European allies, with everyone at NATO since the decision to take out Qasem Soleimani.
What is the ask of Canada now as an ally?
Well, Canada, as you pointed out, has been incredibly crucial in the de-ISIS campaign. And so in Iraq, we have seen the territorial defeat of the caliphate, but that fight remains ongoing.
And if the fight against ISIS is ended there because of this strike, how does that help?
Yeah, well, we don't see that happening.
You don't?
No.
So as you just heard, U.S. officials contacted the Canadian government after the killing of Soleimani. Today, Canada's Minister of Defense was asked about it on CBC News Network's Power and Politics.
We had an indication of something was going to happen. We did not know what was going to happen. We have taken the appropriate steps for force protection for where our personnel are. We have made decisions to move personnel to certain different locations, and also non-essential people to be able to move them outside Iraq.
So Harjit Sajjan also said there is currently no discussion of pulling out of Iraq and that Canada wants both the NATO mission and the U.S.-led coalition mission in the country to continue. Now, Donald Trump has threatened to answer any Iranian retaliation with a fast, hard, and possibly disproportionate response. That's not, in fact, unusual from this president. But Trump's tweet on Saturday raised some eyebrows, vowing to target 52 Iranian sites, some important to Iranian culture. The U.S. Secretary of State at first walked it back.
President Trump didn't say he'd go after a cultural site. Read what he said.
And then Trump made it clear to reporters on Air Force One, quote, "We're not allowed to touch their cultural site. It doesn't work that way." But in fact, it does work that way. Targeting cultural sites is forbidden by international law, including a 2017 UN resolution adopted by the Trump administration.
To protect cultural heritage as a symbol of understanding and respect for all religions, beliefs, and civilizations.
The aim to deter the kind of destruction ISIS visited on ancient sites in Syria and Iraq. Now, it's action the White House seems to defend, at least in some circumstances.
It may happen if Iran retaliates in a certain way.
But that would still violate international law if they are cultural sites.
I'm telling you.
But does the president...
Allies seem to be hoping this is all just bluster.
We've been very clear that cultural sites are protected under international law, and we'd expect that to be respected.
Trump's State Department at least says the U.S. will play by the rules.
We will do everything within the law to keep Americans safe.
That doesn't sound like a hard question to answer. It would be a
We'll do everything within the law to keep Americans safe. We'll do everything within the law to keep Americans safe.
So the tone and repetition of anything within the law there, that is notable. Now, for those who still remember, the U.S. president has been impeached. A bit of a bombshell today from his former national security advisor and longtime Iran hawk, John Bolton. Bolton says he will testify if subpoenaed at Trump's Senate impeachment trial. He would be the highest-ranking Trump official to testify on impeachments so far if the Republican-controlled Senate calls on him, which is not expected. So more from Washington later in the hour, but Andrew, you are following today's other major international story, those devastating wildfires in Australia.
Yeah, Adrian. So that country's prime minister has said his government will pay whatever it takes to help communities rebuild. As far as specific numbers go, he's committing an extra $2 billion Australian dollars to the recovery effort. That's close to $2 billion Canadian dollars. And that's on top of tens of millions already promised. Now, the damage, it's pretty sweeping. At least 24 people killed, 2,000 homes destroyed, and fires are burning from coast to coast. But the hardest hit state is New South Wales. There are about 130 active fires there now, with 5 million hectares burned since September. David Common is on the ground in Lake Conjola. That's about 3 hours south of Sydney.
The first rain in weeks was a welcome respite for these kangaroos, but nowhere near enough to put out the fires or undo the devastation. Homes burned, mattresses reduced to springs, melted aluminum rivers trailing from burned cars.
I did start trying to hose the house down, but it was so hot.
Patty Chinook barely made it out of her house alive, escaping just before towering flames did this.
When you actually see it, it's pretty devastating. And me, like a lot of my neighbours, we've all lost our homes, and most of us have lost everything.
Many people were home when they saw the smoke and the flames coming and coming fast. They called emergency services, but the wall of fire was so vast, so hot, and so fast-moving, spread out over many kilometers, that firefighters simply couldn't get here in time. As a result, this entire neighborhood has been wiped out.
I've been doing this 26 years, and I can't remember a season like this one.
The entire country so dry, so hot, something many connect with climate change.
How close did the flames get?
On the house, under my feet the whole time.
Wayne Horsfall and his family saw the flames and stood firm.
Everything that you can see that's got black on it was on fire at the same time. The fire was as high as that gum tree, and all the trees around the fire, it was a wall of flame.
Even those barely kept back 20-meter flames, burning his cars and trees, and yet his home's been spared.
Obviously, you think as loudly as you can think, wow.
But that relief is not shared by everyone. Across the country, entire towns have been burned off the map. Perhaps most horrifying? They won't be the last. David Common, CBC News, Lake Conjola, Australia.
Now, the fires are producing a pretty incredible amount of smoke. Look at this satellite image taken Saturday over New South Wales. And check out these images taken yesterday in Auckland, New Zealand. That's more than 2,000 kilometers away. Then today, even further, a faint haze wafting over South America. On the same day, Harvey Weinstein's trial got underway in New York. The disgraced Hollywood mogul was charged with more sex crimes today in Los Angeles.
This is the first criminal case filed by the task force that I created in November of 2017 in response to the sexual assault allegations in the entertainment industry.
These new allegations come from two women who make claims about what happened during Oscar week several years ago. And they add to the allegations about to be heard in court involving two women in two other incidents, also going back years. Those long-anticipated proceedings began today, and the CBC's Stephen D'Souza was there.
Today, Lady Justice is staring down a super predator. You.
They are just a handful of the more than 80 women who say Harvey Weinstein sexually assaulted them. Today, they came to deliver a message.
You brought this upon yourself by hurting so many. You have only yourself to blame.
Weinstein entered the courthouse using a walker, reportedly recovering from back surgery. The allegations of just two women are on trial here. Many of the other accusations are too old or lack evidence to be charged.
Mr. Weinstein, how are you feeling today?
Weinstein has pleaded not guilty to charges of rape and predatory sexual assault relating to alleged incidents in 2006 and 2013. Today's hearing was short, but there was some drama when the district attorney blasted Harvey Weinstein's lawyer, Donna Rotuno, saying that in recent media interviews she's given, she was degrading and humiliating some of the witnesses against Weinstein.
Mr. Weinstein, again, has a right to a fair trial. I think she believes he's convicted already.
A lawyer for one of the complainants says the defense is trying to influence potential jurors.
Well, I think she was trying to have an impact on the jury pool by making insinuations about witnesses and trying to undermine their credibility.
Jury selection begins tomorrow. Lawyers for the accusers hope jurors will be impartial, but also have an understanding of the tactics used to undermine sexual assault survivors, like asking complainants why they stayed in touch with the attacker after the alleged assault or waited years to report.
It will be a trial not only about Harvey Weinstein, but where we have come as a society.
For the women who will never have their day in court, the next 8 weeks will be a legal reckoning they've waited years to see.
And whether it is this trial or in the future, Harvey will be held accountable for his actions.
If convicted, Weinstein faces up to life in prison. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, New York.
More news ahead on The National. They worked for Harvey Weinstein, and they're used in Canada, too.
Really suppressing the ability for survivors to speak up.
The non-disclosure agreements that kept women silent.
Why police in Hamilton are putting out a warning if you wear one of these this winter. And a surprise from Mom for the player who scored Canada's game-winning goal. We're back in 2. Well, how's this for a Monday? The first major snowstorm of the new year hit eastern Newfoundland with more than 40 centimeters falling over the last 24 hours, shutting down most of the province. Now, the snow has stopped falling, but folks there know better than to rest on their laurels. Chris O'Neill Yates caught up with people in St. John's as they tried to dig out before the next blast of winter hits.
It was a greasy start for anyone who had to be somewhere. But before daylight, it seemed inevitable. Nothing would be open today. Government offices closed for business. Public transit suspended. Even postal workers got the day off. So did students, much to Isaac Hawkins' delight.
I love storms because then we don't have school and we can just go sliding.
Since Christmas Eve, almost 100 centimeters of snow have fallen here in the St. John's region, the most recorded over any two-week period in the last 8 years. RP Robinson flew in from Toronto this morning and came straight to this sledding hill.
I love the snow. I love outdoor winter activities.
Downtown St. John's is known for its pretty, colorful houses and its narrow streets, which means by the time the city wakes up tomorrow, people are going to be wondering where to put the snow.
By mid-afternoon, some downtown streets hadn't seen a snowplow. City snow clearing crews have been going full tilt since last night, but clearing up this mess will take at least a few days. The snow caught some people off guard.
Well, I'm from Quebec, so I just got here, but yeah, definitely quite a bit.
Were you expecting this in Newfoundland coming from Quebec?
Not this much.
I love the snow, I love the winter, so once shoveling's done, I'm okay with it.
You love the shoveling?
Not everyone is a fan of the snow. This group of university students, fresh back from their holiday break, found strength in numbers.
St. John's is not easy to live in the winter.
No, it's a rough spot, but it's, I don't know, it could be worse, I guess.
I mean,
it could be
pretty, so
it's pretty, yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah.
Attempts to find the silver lining in this storm may soon be tested. Another winter system is expected to blow through the region midweek. Chris O'Neill Yates, CBC News, St. John's.
One scoop at a time. That's all you can do. Here's some other stories making news across Canada tonight. On the day his trial was set to begin, a retired Calgary doctor has pleaded guilty to 28 counts of sexual assault against former patients. Keith Hoyt admitted to groping and fondling dozens of female patients over a 30-year period, people who'd been referred to him for various brain issues like chronic migraines and seizures. His victims, between 17 and 46 years old, each describing feeling mortified, vulnerable, and confused after medical exams. We should find out later this month when his sentencing hearing will be. Police in Hamilton are warning owners of expensive luxury winter coats to be on the lookout. There's been a string of street robberies and 9 young people arrested. Officers say at least 17 people have had their jackets stolen over the past few weeks, saying thieves would swarm their victims or threaten them with weapons. Investigators think those jackets, which can cost well over $1,000, are then being resold. Okay, more news still ahead on The National, including yet another reason to stick to a pretty common New Year's resolution.
You can't change your genes, but you can change your lifestyle.
Why even a little exercise is really good for your gray matter. Right after this. Well, some health news tonight about diseases that have a huge impact on so many Canadians. More than 500,000 people live with dementia in this country, and that number is expected to rise to nearly 1 million in a decade or so. But as Christine Birak explains, a new study shows exercise may be key to prevention.
Each and every person here is sweating it out for their own reasons.
They're here to be active, to get fit, to look good, to get stronger.
German researchers tracked the fitness of more than 2,000 adults aged 21 to 83 over 4 years. They found those who did moderate intensity, regular exercise not only improved their heart health, but also their brain. MRI scans showed physical activity was associated with increased gray matter or brain tissue, which is responsible for memory and cognition.
Trying to keep your gray matter thick, trying to keep your gray matter healthy is important, and that's why I think that this particular study does provide a worthwhile contribution.
And it suggests that exercise may be the best bet to keep dementia at bay.
Scientists believe inflammation or swelling in our brain causes memory loss. Studies have shown physical activity increases the release of natural substances that fight inflammation and also increases blood flow to the brain. Research has also found inactivity contributes to dementia risk as much as genetics.
You can't change your genes, but you can change your lifestyle.
So how much exercise are we talking? 30 minutes, 5 days a week for a total of 150 minutes. Running, biking, swimming will get you there easily. But walking and even stair climbing or household chores like shoveling or sweeping will also work as long as you break a sweat.
Good job.
The study also found exercise benefits the brain at any age, but especially in those over 45. Stacey Michaelides says her dad is mentally sharp and inspires her.
My father was a role model. He's 86, and he has been working out my whole life.
Building your body and your brain. Yet another reason to get moving. Christine Birak, CBC News, Toronto.
And we have more news still ahead on The National, including some major questions about government oversight for fertility doctors. How was an Ottawa doctor able to inseminate patients with his own sperm?
Plus, as the trial of Harvey Weinstein begins, we look at the non-disclosure agreements that keep victims quiet.
These settlements, which are struck, in cases of sexual harassment and sexual assault across the country and in Canada.
We're back right after this.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at a few stories making news around the world tonight. Starting with another potential hurdle for Boeing, as the company and regulators say a newly discovered wiring issue could potentially cause a short circuit on its grounded 737 MAX jets. Meanwhile, here at home, WestJet says it will not bring back those planes until at least early April. The Calgary-based airline says that adjustment will affect about 500 flights through the spring. A pair of significant and shallow earthquakes in Puerto Rico today caused violent shaking, cracked walls, and knocked buildings right off their foundations. One was a magnitude 5.8, striking just before dawn, and the second quake, a smaller one, about 4 hours later. But even those two quakes come after two other moderate quakes and hundreds of small tremors in recent weeks. And looking at the natural landmark and tourist attraction, Punta Ventana, it withstood those earlier quakes, but fell after today's. This is what remains now that the stone arch has collapsed. And a student from Indonesia has been convicted of 159 sex offenses after being dubbed Britain's most prolific rapist. Reinhard Sinaga was found guilty of luring 48 men to his apartment in Manchester, where he is said to have drugged and assaulted them, in some instances filming the attacks. A judge ruled that following 4 separate trials, the 36-year-old must serve a minimum of 30 years in jail.
As Harvey Weinstein goes to trial charged with rape and sexual assault 2 years after public allegations of misconduct first surfaced, we're looking at what's changed since then in our series #MeToo2020. Though still innocent in the eyes of the law, in the public eye, he has become a punchline.
Our next presenter starred in Netflix's Bird Box, a movie where people survive by acting like they don't see a thing. Sort of like working for Harvey Weinstein.
Weinstein negotiated non-disclosure agreements, or NDAs, with some of his alleged victims. Tonight, we explore how he's alleged to have used them to keep women silent, possibly for decades. One former assistant is breaking her agreement and now speaking out.
The New York Police Department is attempting to identify any potential victims of Hollywood film producer Harvey Weinstein.
The sexual harassment allegations against Harvey Weinstein stretch back 30 years.
At the same time, a lawyer for Weinstein has described the New York Times article as false and defamatory.
A black car is pulled up and Harvey Weinstein is emerging right now. Hey!
Harvey Weinstein is the accused predator, and he is soon going on trial. But it's now clear there's something serious missing from this attempt to get justice, because Weinstein had help.
The stories this pair delivered were the spark that set off a worldwide fire. Please welcome Jody and Megan.
New York Times journalists Jody Cantor and Megan Toohey are the Pulitzer Prize-winning reporters who found the rotten core of the Weinstein story.
Zelda Perkins and Ashley Mathau were all silenced by settlements.
It's your house, but have a seat. Their book, She Said, exposes the legal system of secret deals that might just have enabled years of harassment and assault. So this is fundamentally a story about what this man is alleged to have done to these women. But very quickly, you're talking about a system failing them. What did you mean by that?
Well, you're absolutely right. This book is actually not just about a single individual alleged predator, Harvey Weinstein. It's really an X-ray into abuse of power. But there was also the issue of these settlements, which are struck, in cases of sexual harassment and sexual assault across the country and in Canada.
So you're talking about non-disclosure agreements?
Especially in the case of alleged predators like Harvey Weinstein, he would do one of these secret settlements and then go on to allegedly harm many other women. So I think now we're finally starting to have a public debate and conversation about who really benefits and whether or not these secret settlements have in fact allowed enablers to continue to prey.
It's these secret deals, the non-disclosure agreements, that were arguably enablers in the Harvey Weinstein saga. And so a question, should NDAs be used in cases of sexual harassment or assault? In a few U.S. states, New Jersey, California, for example, there are limits on the use of NDAs, but not in Canada. And there may be changes coming in the UK, in part because of the lobbying effort of a woman who ultimately refused to be silenced by Weinstein. She is Zelda Perkins. That's her as a 23-year-old assistant posing at a Miramax charity event with Harvey Weinstein decades ago.
And I can remember him putting his arm around me. For some reason, I never wanted to be in a picture with him.
That she's now opened up about those days with the New York Times journalists, with us, could put her at risk of reprisals. She's speaking out about what she says was daily harassment working for Harvey Weinstein.
I agreed that I would sit in the bathroom whilst he was in the sauna, so I couldn't see him, and take notes. And he went in there, and within a couple of minutes, he said, "This isn't working," and came out naked and said, "I'm going to have a bath." And I tried to leave the room, and he said, "I need you to be in the room so that we can work. I'm just going to be in the bath." At the time, that felt like a pretty safe compromise.
The 1998 Venice Film Festival was her breaking point. A younger woman working under Zelda Perkins was assigned night shifts with Harvey Weinstein. They talked about how to fend him off, but on one night he reportedly unleashed on the young assistant.
She told me the next day that he'd attempted to rape her. So I went and confronted Harvey. The fact that he had overstepped the mark into criminality, and also with somebody that I felt I had some responsibility towards, then there was no going back. There was nothing. There was no other options.
The women returned to London determined to report their story to the company. They sought legal help, but were told their only option was an agreement, some financial compensation in exchange for their silence. And so began the long, intimidating sessions with Harvey Weinstein's lawyers.
We weren't allowed pen and paper. We were escorted to the loo. We could talk to a therapist as long as the therapist signed their own confidentiality agreement. And if they broke the confidentiality agreement, we were the ones who Miramax would come after for breach of contract. And we were made to feel that we were the perpetrators. Every single person in that room did not say that there was anything wrong with us signing that agreement. That agreement was unethical and egregious on every level. And they're telling you that this is how the law works, then for me, the world was over. The world was over.
What kind of risk did a woman like Zelda Perkins take in deciding to talk to you? Like, what did she put on the line?
I mean, it was serious risk. If somebody does speak out and tell the truth about what's happened, Weinstein is in a position to come after her, not just for the money that was paid out at the time, but often for financial damages, money on top of that.
Our first witness is Zelda Perkins, formerly employed by Miramax as an assistant to Harvey Weinstein.
Zelda has now found her voice, recently speaking to MPs in the UK on the misuse of NDAs.
And there cannot be a legal document that protects, criminal behaviour or coercive behaviour. It's a question of morality. So what I have here is 5 pages of the agreement, which I managed to obtain in 1998, and I had to fight very hard for it.
Not allowed to have a copy of her own NDA, these 5 pages are all she was able to surreptitiously get. Harvey Weinstein's initials on each page.
Information about sexual harassment in the airline industry. Thank you.
All this really bothers Canadian Madalena Lewis. She doesn't know Harvey Weinstein, but she does know NDAs.
Companies have been covering up. They've been giving out settlements, again, NDAs, non-disclosures, really suppressing the ability for survivors to speak up.
In 2010, while a flight attendant for WestJet, she says a pilot sexually assaulted her while on a stopover. She chose the path of no shame and went public, as she proved here in her protest at the Vancouver airport last year. At the time of her alleged assault, she went to her managers, and an NDA soon followed. Unlike so many others, she refused to sign it.
I just remember it being on the table and it being sort of pushed towards me. It was something that was sold to me as good for me, beneficial to me. When you sign away something that says you cannot speak or you can't find other women, those women are in a really bad place, are in a terrible place, actually. Like the darkest, most loneliest, most isolating place you can imagine, that's where they are.
I mean, I left the country. I went and moved to Central America and lived in Guatemala for 5 years. So I was away from family, friends. I couldn't get work really in the industry anymore. And I was afraid because I couldn't explain to anybody what had happened. I felt safer just removing myself entirely.
There must be something in it for an alleged victim to sign an NDA. There's money, right? There's a bit of peace momentarily, right?
Absolutely, and the defense of it, and a lot of lawyers say this, is all about what it does for the individual. If there's a woman who's been through something terrible, she gets to keep her privacy. She's not forced to be branded a traitor or a flirt or a tattletale. She gets to move on with her life. The problem is only visible when you look at these collectively, when you say, is this really our best tool? What has this masked over the years? What has it enabled over the years? And I think part of what we're beginning to see is that there's a distinction between privacy and secrecy. Those two things.
What is that distinction?
Well, a lot of victims we've talked to, they do want to keep their privacy. They don't necessarily want secrecy in the sense that they want who to tell, how much to tell, what to tell, to be under their control. They don't necessarily want to sign a document that says, I'm giving up the right to talk about my own personal experiences.
There are still women out there who agreed to settlements with Harvey Weinstein but have yet to speak, including the young assistant in the Miramax New York office who simply stopped coming to work one day, leaving her shoes tucked neatly under her desk. Decades later, tracked down by the New York Times journalists, she is still afraid, still not ready to open up, still worried breaking that NDA is too risky.
I think it's a tough decision, especially when these legally binding settlements are involved. Many women feel like they made an agreement.
I don't know how you can heal if you can't talk about it.
That's a fair question.
And right, and we listen, we recognize that every victim has her own experience and path to walk in this life, and so I think more than anything, it's just an illustration that these secret settlements are no joke. They are no joke, and that there are women to this day who are scared of breaking them.
We asked WestJet to respond to allegations by former flight attendant Madalena Lewis in tonight's story, and here's its response. WestJet has been and remains committed to providing a safe and harassment-free workplace. Given this matter remains before the courts, we will not be commenting further. We also asked Harvey Weinstein's lawyers for an official response to the allegations in our story. We eventually heard from a public relations firm representing Mr. Weinstein, and here's that statement. Neither Mr. Weinstein nor his representatives will be making any comments on these matters. I hope you can remain objective. Now take a look at a story we will have tomorrow from our series Me Too 2020. When people try to imagine Harvey Weinstein's accusers, the mind wanders to the famous. But there are others. They are the young assistants who worked with Weinstein. They are people like Rowena Chu. She says Harvey Weinstein attempted to rape her more than 20 years ago. It's a story she's not supposed to be telling, but she says she cannot keep it in any longer.
I'm wondering how much a secret like this weighs.
I found it an impossible burden to bear, really, and it came to a point where I tried to kill myself a couple of times. I really felt I was never going to get away from the secret.
Taking a chance on talking. And of course, you can watch that story tomorrow night on The National.
Okay, sounds good, Adrian. Meantime, still ahead on tonight's National. Major questions for Health Canada and its oversight of fertility treatments. Plus, a warm welcome home for Canada's World Juniors and an emotional surprise for the player who scored the gold medal goal. CBC News has obtained documents through access to information that raise questions about federal oversight of a fertility clinic in Ottawa. Norman Barwin lost his medical license last year for gross betrayal of his patients' trust. Amanda Pfeffer shows us why he might have been stopped sooner.
He was called a baby god, a doctor who helped parents trying to conceive.
We are fully aware of the torment and the frustrations that are going through their own relationship.
But inspection documents obtained by CBC suggest there were big problems at the Barwin Clinic. In 1999, federal inspectors ordered all of its donor sperm into quarantine, the first of 4 inspections that found violations of Health Canada rules, like missing paperwork to prove sperm had been cleared of diseases like HIV, missing consent forms, vials of sperm either missing or ruined by mishandling. But not until 2010 did Barwin actually fail an inspection.
The inspectorate did a very superficial assessment of what was going on.
This fertility expert says there's no question federal inspectors could have shut Barwin down.
So no efforts to restrict control.
The College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario was never given that information, but in 2013 it suspended Barwin's license based on its own investigation spurred by patients' complaints. But the damage was done. Now the families of 77 children conceived at the clinic claim in a class action lawsuit that Barwin used the wrong sperm or his own sperm.
The problems that I've seen now since seeing the various clients that we have who have, were affected by Dr. Barwin, it's mind-boggling.
The lead lawyer says Health Canada looks at the medical safety of donor sperm and eggs, but no one safeguards patients from the moral and ethical harm.
In my view, a regulatory failing.
Some provinces are stepping up and doing their own inspections of the growing number of fertility clinics across Canada. In Quebec, the inspections go well beyond the federal focus on donor sperm and eggs. Ontario is also considering a proposal to do the same. Amanda Pfeffer, CBC News, Ottawa.
And next on The National, a heartwarming homecoming for Canada's champs, including a special surprise for the player who scored Canada's game-winning goal. That's next.
Now moved ahead. In comes Thomas to the check. Moved it, but he scores! Akil Thomas has given Canada the lead.
That gold medal goal from young Akil Thomas. With less than 4 minutes left to go in the third, it pushed Canada to victory over Russia at the World Junior Championships. Great moment for Canada, and today, upon Akil's return home, a great moment for him. A special surprise at the airport from Mom. It's our moment.
Well, he had no idea I was going to be here, and when I saw him, I just melted.
She's been amazing. She's done everything for me, obviously, and she cares so much about me. She does literally anything for me, and she just wants to see me succeed.
He texted me in the morning, and he said, "Mom, I'm going to get the goal. I'm going to get the goal. I'm bringing home the goal for us." And I said, "Do it. Do it." And he did it.
Now moved ahead. In comes Thomas to the check. Moved it, but he scores! Akil Thomas has given Canada the lead.
I know it's crazy. On the bench, I was thinking, I'm going to get one more shift out here, and I'm going to score. And that's just what I was thinking the whole period. And luckily, Coach called me up, and I just had a feeling I was going to score.
I'm so proud of him. He worked hard for this. He wanted this for hockey. He wanted this for Hockey Canada. He wanted this for Canada. So I was just so happy for him.
And Adrian, you want to talk about self-fulfilling prophecy. So for Akil, apparently he was in Sweden 2 years ago for Canada's game-winning goal at that time. And even then he said, someday I'm going to score that game-winning goal. And there you have it.
Amazing. And like every good story, Andrew, there's a little bit of tension. I guess Mom, Akila was in Atlanta on business, watching the game on her phone, streaming it, and it just gets to the point where he gets a hold of a loose puck and the video falls apart. She had no idea what happened. His girlfriend had to call her and then hold up the phone to her phone and show her what happened. Anyway, modern tech and a great old story. Yeah. That is a National for Monday, January the 6th. Good night.
Good night.